that student half-time. And if that student leaves, that aide is no longer working in your district for that half-time. You can make the argument that you can charge that increment. But if you're just reassigning someone, then it's a big problem if you don't have an additional cost.
Good.
And you said that we could deny that student if we had to hire somebody because that student did trigger
Right, you are not required to accept a student for whom you do not have space, either regular or special ed.
What does space mean?
You define space. It's your criteria. With respect to regular ed, most districts will have a student-teacher ratio that they want to meet. Often they'll have one specific to open enrollment because they don't necessarily want to fill every seat in every classroom with open enrolled students. So for example, if your desired class size were 20 students per class, and you may say, well, we're only going to take open enrollment students up to 18 because we don't want to fill every last seat with open enrolled students move in, then you could establish that criterion. The only thing is that once you establish it, you have to follow it exactly. You can't make exceptions. You can't take more students, and you can't take fewer students if you have applications for that. With respect to special ed, it's a little more complicated. A lot of districts will still have a special ed class size that they use, or some of them use the recommended caseload factors that the DPI special ed committee came out with quite a few number of years ago. The important thing is that you have criteria and that you follow it.
What Kathy was asking about is that personnel and cost. You're talking about geography, seats, square footage. I mean, is that?
You cannot, a non-resident district cannot deny a student due to cost. You deny a student because you don't have space for the student. A resident district can deny a student to leave if the cost of the special education is an undue financial burden to the resident district. But as far as the non-resident district, coming into the non-resident district, you have to make a space determination. By definition, that comes to cost. But you can't say we can't afford to take the student. What you need to do is determine whether or not you have space.
If you also
For
said
that
you could
student.
bill the other district for the cost.
For
So-
special education only.
So for example, we just earlier today looked at budgets, and there are two different components of the cost. One is, you might say, the average per student cost, regardless of categorization. The other is the additional cost for special ed.
Right.
So we can bill the additional cost for special ed. Do we get the base cost, if you will?
You get the base cost, and then,
Alright.
but you have to bill for that, because that's not going to automatically be transferred. So you would bill for that basic cost, and you could add only to that any actual additional cost specific to that student.
That basic cost is limited to the uniform OE transfer,
Yes. Yes,
which
that's
is
the
roughly 2/3 of the actual cost,
It's 2/3 of your actual school cost.
give or take.
You're
Okay.
right. And we'll talk about that just a little bit later, and then we can expand on that if you still have questions on that.
I have a question.